NASCAR cannot catch a break. You cannot script this kind of chaos. 3 weeks into a stretch that was supposed to showcase the sport at its loudest and most electric, Mother Nature keeps showing up like she owns the place. And tonight in Nashville, she did it again. The engines are cold. The grandstands are waiting. And the question nobody wants to answer right now is this: how many more times can stock car racing afford to let the weather win? Here's what happened. NASCAR had the green flag at Nashville Superspeedway locked in for 7:20 Eastern tonight. Rain moved through the area and pushed that back. The new target is 8:25 Eastern, which realistically means wheels rolling after 8:30. You're still weather in the forecast. Rain and fog hanging around the area later tonight. For now, NASCAR believes conditions will clear enough to get this race underway, but nothing tonight has been guaranteed. This is not a one-off inconvenience. This is a pattern and is one that should concern everyone inside NASCAR's offices right now. All 3 Cup Series events at Charlotte Motor Speedway in recent weeks were cut short by weather. 3 consecutive race weekends compromised. That is not bad luck. That is a streak that starts to damage the product. Nashville matters for a different reason. The Superspeedway layout produces intense side-by-side racing that fans genuinely respond to. This is one of the more competitive tracks on the schedule. Drivers who need points, drivers on the playoff bubble, teams trying to manufacture momentum, they all showed up tonight ready to run a full race. A delay is a nuisance. A shortened race or a washout would be a real problem. Inside the garages, the tension that comes with weather uncertainty is real. Crew chiefs have tire strategies, fuel windows, and pit road sequences mapped out for a full distance. When the race length becomes a question mark, those plans start to unravel before the first lap is even run. Let's talk about the bigger picture, because a rain delay is really just the surface level story here. NASCAR has been scheduling more night races at venues like Nashville, specifically because primetime television windows drive ratings and sponsor value. But primetime TV and Tennessee weather in the summer are not always going to cooperate. That tension between broadcast commitments and atmospheric reality is something the sport has to wrestle with strategically, not just week to week, but in long-term scheduling decisions. The Charlotte situation already raised eyebrows. 3 shortened events at 1 track send a signal to fans, drivers, and broadcast partners that the product is vulnerable to weather disruption right now in ways that feel unusually concentrated. If Nashville gets added to that list tonight, whether it gets called early or runs to a fog-soaked second half, the optics are rough. There is also a competitive stakes dimension to this. Nashville's 33-mile layout rewards drivers who can sustain pace under pressure over a long green flag run. Teams that have built cars optimized for that race distance could see their advantage neutralized entirely if the event gets shortened. Conversely, a team that has been surviving on short sprints all season might accidentally benefit. That is not how competition should be decided. Nobody wants to see a championship contender lose ground because the sky opened up at mile 240. For right now, the 8:25 target window is manageable. A 1-hour delay does not destroy the race. The real watch item is what that fog does in the second half. Racing in reduced visibility at superspeedway speeds is a safety conversation nobody wants to have mid-broadcast. The fan base right now is split between frustration and dark humor, which honestly is a very NASCAR crowd response. You will find posts online joking that NASCAR should just move its entire summer calendar to the desert. You will also find genuine anger, particularly from fans who travel to Nashville tonight and are sitting in those stands watching radar screens instead of race cars. The media conversation is more pointed. After the Charlotte stretch, several analysts already started asking whether NASCAR's scheduling has become too dependent on venues and time slots that carry real weather risk. Tonight's delay adds fuel to that conversation. Expect the takes to run hot if this one does not go the full distance. For the drivers publicly, the reaction will be measured. Nobody's going to torch NASCAR at a microphone over weather. But privately, any driver who was carrying strong qualifying speed into tonight and came prepared to dominate a full-length race has every right to be sitting in their hauler right now feeling the frustration build. The delay holds at roughly 1 hour. The fog stays north of the track. NASCAR gets a clean green flag around 8:30 and runs the full race distance without interruption. A full-length, clean Nashville race resets the weather narrative that has been hanging over the sport all month. The right driver wins cleanly, the broadcast delivers, and everyone moves on. The fog rolls in during the late stages. NASCAR is forced to go to a stage point formula or a caution clock finish. We get a shortened race, a controversial result, and another week of negative headlines about NASCAR's inability to complete events in this stretch of the season. the playoff picture gets partially decided by weather instead of competition. And that conversation does not end quickly. At the end of the night, a delay is survivable. NASCAR has handled worse, but the question worth asking, the one that does not have a clean answer, is how many more weather-compromised events this sport absorbs before it starts making changes to how and where it schedules its biggest nights. Free shortened races at Charlotte, a rain delay in Nashville. At what point does this stop being bad luck and start being a scheduling problem? Drop your take in the comments. Did NASCAR get the short end of the stick this month, or is this something the sport should have seen coming? And if you want this kind of coverage every time something breaks in the racing world, you know what to do.